Hi, it's Vanessa with Guitar Girl Magazine, and today we're here with Isabel Torres. We're going to ask her some questions, see what she's up to these days, and get to know a little bit more about her gear. Isabel, could you tell us a little bit about how you got started with the guitar?
I started playing when I was 8. I was playing mostly classical guitar and got a little bit bored of it. But then listening to rock players and finding it super cool how in one song you could have like 1 minute long solos and stuff like that. In a time where most pop music didn't have guitar at all. I just sort of transitioned and got really excited to play because it was just something new and just wanting to be like those players that I was listening to, pretty much.
Now, on your journey, as a guitar player, have you ever run into any situations where people tried to, you felt disadvantaged to be a female player? Like, has anybody ever given you a hard time about playing guitar?
I think that the main issue with being a girl and playing electric guitar is that people, if you say you're a guitar player, they just assume you're a singer-songwriter and not necessarily like a lead player or anything like that. So I have felt like that I need to really show what I'm all about so that I don't get categorized into something that is actually not at all what I do.
Makes a lot of sense. Do you have any like pre-gig rituals, like before you go on stage? Is there anything like you like to do, meditate, light some incense, anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I stay away from anything that could make me feel like I'm not in control of my own mental well-being. So I don't drink at all or anything like that. And then I like playing a bunch of classical pieces just to kind of warm up and get my technique into shape, but on the electric guitar. So I think that's something that I probably took from playing classical guitar before. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And then I do meditate and I do yoga, which I love.
Awesome, that's great. Before you go into the studio, what's your songwriting process like? Did you work leads out ahead of time? Do you kind of wing it in the studio, or how do you like to structure your recordings?
So with my band's latest album, which isn't out yet but is coming out soon, we went into this barn in the middle of the countryside for a month, and we were just jamming out songs like all day. And coming up with different parts and stuff. And then on the last week, we recorded demos of those songs. And then like half a year later, came out to Nashville to record it. And we had like a month to record the entire album. So we were pretty sure of what parts we were gonna keep, and we weren't really just coming up with them on the spot. But the way we did it is that we did everything live. So focusing more on what's essential, and then any what's the word for it? Double tracks?
Right.
Any
overdubs.
Yeah. Any overdubs needed, we did at the end. But we did record everything together.
Oh, so it's a real organic record. Like,
Yeah.
the vibe of everybody. That's
Exactly.
Really cool. I like that.
Yeah. It's I haven't really done that before, I feel like nowadays it's more about going into the studio and doing your individual parts, which is great as well, but this was a totally different experience where you kind of focus more on the end product and not being such a perfectionist maybe with your one specific part and stuff.
Yeah, I think there would probably be a little bit more of a vibe with it too, because everybody's kind of more feeding off each other instead of overdubbing when you're not in the same room with
that's
people.
Exactly, yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, awesome. If you could collaborate with anyone, living or dead, who would it be? Like, can you write a song or do a show with?
Oh my God, that is a hard question. I don't even know. I mean, my favorite artist ever was Michael Jackson, but then of course he passed away, so that's not even possible. So I don't know who else to say. I need to come back to that because I don't know.
We'll circle back around to that. First tone talk question. What's your definition of tone, and how has your tone changed over the years?
I think your tone is what makes you unique as a player, because obviously it's a combination of so many things and not just your gear, probably more like specific kind of nerdy things about like how you hold your guitar and like do you play with a pick and or your hand or a mix of both and all of that. How my tone has changed, I think when I was younger and not necessarily working so much in music, I just played for myself, so really like bassy, jazzy tones and all of that, and then like starting to play live shows, and I've realized that actually, you need to cut through, and sometimes when you're a session player, you need to adjust to whatever tone the artist you're playing with requires. So having an awareness of that is what changed the most, and so nowadays I kind of have to be a chameleon and have to
Kind of adapt to any situation.
whatever. Yeah.
That's awesome. So what's your current guitar and amps and pedals that you're using right now?
So my main guitar is a PRS Custom 24, which I love so much. It's just one of those things that I got that specific one. I'm thinking about when I was 17, and ever since, every time I try to get a new guitar, it just doesn't really compare. You know what I mean? Because it's just like I'm in love with it. So I love that one because it's super versatile, and going back to having to be a chameleon and adjust to whatever sounds you have to be able to recreate with your guitar. That one is great because it is really warm and bassy, but also you can get really cool tones that almost sound like you're playing with single coils. So I love that one, and I play it through an orange amp, which is called Tiny Terror, and then that's when I'm touring with my band. When I'm playing more like smaller, more intimate gigs, I use Mesa Boogie Express amp, and then as for pedals, it really depends. I sometimes use a Helix, but most of the times when I'm on tour, I still want to have like all pedals, individual pedals, and got a bunch of Earthquaker
Good things about them.
They're very, very cool. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Awesome. What kind of strings are you currently using?
I use the Darios. To be honest, just use 10s because it's quite like, middle ground. But yeah, when I play jazz, I tend to, go for like 12s or something like that. Yeah.
So what lays ahead for 2020? You're talking a little bit about this new record you have coming out. You guys, when do you think that's going to be out, and are you guys going to tour?
Yeah, so that should be out in the spring. The official date is not out yet, but it should be coming out within the next few months. And starting touring that record. I'm very excited. I think it definitely brings back some like real, guitar heavy rock elements, which maybe nowadays you don't really hear so much. But yeah, we should be touring it for the rest of the year, festivals in the summer, and all of that.
Awesome. Do you have any advice for young girls who are up and coming and want to make, playing guitar a career?
I think that you maybe try to take inspiration from other girls who play guitar, so that if sometimes you feel like people sort of undermine you or underestimate how good you are, you just have to keep playing and have confidence in yourself, and just look to other players who made some of their dreams come true and didn't let that sort of reputation that girls have for being more singer-songwriters keep them from doing all those things.
Right, excellent. So where can we find you on social media?
So at Isabel Guitarist, That's Instagram is what I use the most, and my website is isabel-torres.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. Thank you. Thank you.